Liberalism is back in style. Welcome to The Evolution.
What if you knew Fox News was just lying to you? How could you watch when you know?
He was voted Variety Entertainer of the Year in the Excellence in the Arts Award. And is one of the highest Arbitrum, now Nielsen-rated talk radio hosts in Las Vegas. He is also a refreshing voice of logic and reason. Live from the entertainment capital of the world, Doug Basham.
And good morning, my fellow wokes and Republican jokes. Thanks for joining me today. My name is Doug Basham, and welcome to the Doug Basham Show right here on KSHP in Las Vegas and on social media, and to a genuine demonstration of excellence in broadcasting. Hey everybody, great to see you all again. I am Doug Basham, card-carrying member in good standing of the Enemy Within Brigade, also known as one sick, radical leftist lunatic who needs to be handled by the American military, and now just might be. And as much as I hate to admit it, Donald Trump was right. He spent the last 4 years telling America how shitty it was, and then last night, America proved him right. So welcome to Morning in America, morning spelled with a U, of course, as true patriots who love this country grieve the loss of the great American experiment in self-governing democracy. And normally at this time I would say, now on to our breaking news for the day. Today instead I will say, now on to our broken news for the day. So congratulations, America. You had a chance to save democracy last night, and you blew it. You effed up, and now you will find out. And frankly, you never should have been put in the position of having to save it. If our founding fathers had been able to envision the country they gifted us being so stupid as to elect someone as wholly unqualified, corrupt, and pathologically dishonest as Donald Trump in the first place, if they could have envisioned a certain contingent of our population being stupid enough to then make that same guy their nominee for the presidency again after January 6th, after he became a convicted felon, rapist, and traitor, and if they had been able to envision this nation actually and willingly being stupid enough to allow fascist propaganda networks to exist in its democracy that defended, sanitized, legitimized, and normalized the actions of the convicted felon, rapist, and traitor, I'm guessing they might have addressed that when they created our founding documents. But they didn't. And I got to tell you, every time they called a state for Donald Trump, including ones we knew he was going to win, and the first one was Kentucky, nonetheless, I could barely contain my disgust. And my predominant thought in my head was, shame on you, just shame on you, betraying your democracy by voting for a fascist who wouldn't piss on the best part of anyone living in your state if they were on fire. But then again, when these people bury themselves deep within the bowels of their right-wing propaganda, fascist hate media, they likely don't even know they're voting for a traitor. They're under the misguided and delusional impression they voted for a victim. Yeah, the victim of a democracy whose institutions that are necessary for that same democracy's survival can no longer be trusted. And so they need a strong man. And why can't democracy's institutions be trusted? For no other reason than the heinous lies spread by the orange traitor, which are then spun and defended by his right-wing propaganda, fascist hate media. Disgusting. But like I keep lamenting, we did this to ourselves. Democrats did this to themselves. For the past number of decades, Democrats sat back and did nothing while the aforementioned media metastasized into the behemoth it is today, while at the same time doing precious little to keep shows like this on the air and put it on a political station for 3 hours a day instead of a sports station for 1 hour a day. And as a result, Democrats paid the price once again last night. And so now, as was the case back in 2020 during COVID, America has put its own democracy on a ventilator. Put another way, Americans just gave their democracy the death penalty, and it now sits on death row. And if there's any consolation to the travesty that took place last night, I would say it's that Kamala Harris didn't lose. She was objectively a superior candidate, and the only candidate no one called a fascist. Well, other than the orange fascist himself. Kamala Harris didn't lose. America failed Kamala Harris. And so long, democracy, we hardly knew you. But it was a great ride while it lasted, wasn't it? Oh, and good luck learning how to speak German. And while all these pundits and alleged experts start reaching for all sorts of excuses as to why Harris lost last night, I'll tell you why. It was because of what I have long called today's conservative, corporate-controlled, right-wing propaganda, fascist hate media industrial complex. How many times have you heard me say just of late that nothing is going to change in this country until America realizes it is not in its best interest to allow several fascist propaganda networks to operate openly in its democracy? And it's only going to get worse from here on in. Trust me. Democrats are feckless when they control the White House and the Senate. Now they'll be even more spineless and even more clueless. And just to show you how much you can trust me, right now I'm going to do something I have never done before on this show. I've heard so many people say, I had no idea back in 2016 Trump was going to turn out to be the monster he ended up being. Nonsense. Anyone who says that simply wasn't paying attention. I was. I always have. For 24 friggin' years, I have. And I warned people for a year and a half back then, the dangers of electing the orange cancer for the first time. And so right now, I'm going to play you part of the show I did on radio. There was no simulcasting on social media back then. This was the first show I did after the 2016 election. It was Saturday, November the 12th, 2016. And for those watching on social media, you get to look at me sitting here doing nothing while we both listen to me. Does it get any better than that? But let not your hearts be troubled. Maybe I'll sway back and forth aimlessly. America seems to like that. Maybe I'll make obscene gestures as if I had a microphone in front of me. I mean, I have a mic, but it's a lavalier that's clipped to my shirt. But the gesture can be the same even without the visible mic, right? America seems to like that. And maybe I'll even do the infamous Trump double jerk dance. America really seems to like that. And back then, I played a brief musical intro. I then featured a soundbite of me and something I said the show before. Therefore, this first soundbite you're going to hear was from before Trump was elected. Here it is. This quote-unquote movement has oozed
seeped and leached from the pits of the hellish right-wing hate media bubble and echo chamber into the real world, into the mainstream. And when you factor in the ridiculous proliferation of guns in this country, this movement has escalated from being just plain irritating to downright dangerous. And I'm sorry, how many different shades of stupid do you have to be to think that Donald Trump can save America from anything? The question should be, who's going to save America from Donald Trump? What he's doing and what your right-wing hate media is doing, again, one and the same, they're burning the place down. And they're making this country even more ungovernable and anarchistic. And if you purport to like that, you are almost as sick as the people who brainwashed you into believing it. At least they got paid to betray their country. You half-wits are doing it for free.